The opinions expressed on the Omega Level Nerds are correct, so enjoy. Boy, X-Men 97, The Bad Batch, Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. I'm eating good. Eating good there.
Yeah, I'm full. I'm
But hey,
satisfied.
yeah. Hey, yeah, it's a great time to be fans of what's going on right now. But hey, thank you so much for clicking on the video there, JOnehundred, as well as myself, Don, with you here. Of course, we're gonna lead right into X-Men 97 and this episode, Bright Eyes. Whoa. Um, I'm gonna resist the urge to go scene by scene because I think everyone's seen it. I think there's enough videos doing, but I just want to overall talk about uh, the method here. I like how we get into the Gambit funeral. They gave us an episode to cool off, which I think ultimately was kind of like, you know what? Okay, right. Let us, for those that maybe not X-Men alum like myself and used to, the tragedy, okay, let that cool off a little bit. We'll deal with something else. But now here we're going to deal with these emotions, funeral, of course, of Gambit is what I'm talking about. They got his brother there and some other people from the Thieves Guild and whatnot. People you may recognize from the original series in that storyline. Rogue is absent. And but that's all I really want to say about it is they do that. They take you there emotionally as far as losing Gambit and how you feel about that. And then they cut to Rogue just letting loose, big fat fuck yous to General Ross because she's trying to find the people responsible.
Right.
And General Ross, he's like, oh, she's just one mutant. We're in a place that's meant to contain the Hulk. So some Avengers Hulk
3 seconds later.
right. Right. Exactly. She rips open that shit like a can of sardines, and So yeah, Rogue's on a rampage. Ultimately, leads her face to face with Captain America, and again, yeah, I just love how she doesn't hold back. She goes into the U.S. military installation, and they're like, "Hey, hey," and she's just like, "Fuck you." I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "I don't give a fuck." So she comes up with Cap, and I've said it on superhero speak and whatnot. X-Men have legitimate beef with like Captain America and kind of the Avengers in general, and yeah, they didn't hold back on that side here. So Captain America is basically like, yeah, I know where the dude you're looking for is at. He's in Mexico, but I'm wearing the suit, so I can't go do. It's not going to be good PR. Blah blah blah, and rightfully so. That pisses Rogue off. Like fucking mutants just got eradicated. And we're talking about optics. There was a conversation that Cyclops had with the president where he's like, oh, well, I can't do this because, I want people to vote for me. It's not good optics. And it's like, and in truth, there's like 18 mutants cleaning up Genosha. There's no other governments or any of the American government like they're helping them.
Right.
So, I ask you, Jay, because you coming from the outside, looking in. Well, not really outside. I mean, you're in now, but as a new X-Men fan, I mean, how much shade does Captain America deserve here? Because I throw a lot his way. So I'm gonna leave it up to
I'm
you.
a huge Captain America hater in the first place. I'm not a fan of Captain America at all. Um I- there are certain versions of him that I kind of mess with or can
I
align
think,
with, can
sure,
tolerate.
yeah, I think that the MCU version would not be this way. To be honest with you, just I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but that was one thought
Well,
I had.
yeah. So I mean the MCU version of him is I'll give him credit where credit is due, but I think we've talked about this either as a group in the past or on the show before, but um he's responsible for the whole Infinity Saga.
Mm-hmm.
Like truly. Like what do you dive in the plane in the ocean for? That ain't even do shit. Like because of
Right.
that. You left the Tesseract open, so I'm not really. But he kind of redeems himself and all that kind of stuff like that. So I'm not a big Captain America fan, and I guess the way that he's written in this scenario, where he's playing the image, giving some information. It's not like he wasn't doing nothing, right?
Mhm.
It's not like he was sitting on his hands. They have uh, things in the works, and he was willing to deploy. I'm guessing the Avengers to help out, but he wants things to be done the United States government's way, which um no.
Hey.
No. So either you are with us, bro, or you're just gonna take your orders. And if you're gonna take your orders, well, I'm gonna throw your frisbee away because
Yes.
you're a dick.
Fuck your
And
shield.
and you know, I can see how that can be interpreted a bunch of different ways. But truly, with what's going on in the world right now, to me, Captain America sounded like uh, I don't know how like to word it, but the people that can clearly see that there's more than just military combatants being killed, but want to sit on their hands because it's not a good look, or it,
Mhm.
it might mess up their platform, or they're gonna lose followers, or like all this other kind of stuff like that. And it's one of those things to me, like looking at it from a mutant's point of view, as one, we didn't even do anything to you. Two, um, now that we can, some of us can, we about to, unless you give us a reason not to. But then it's at the end of the day, like, how can the normal humans not see what this is? You can't be that afraid. I mean, I guess you could be, but you can't be that afraid of these folks. And in the Marvel universe, this isn't Generation V. This isn't a corporation who's selling a drug to, potentially for parents to make their kids products, and we're monitoring it that way. No, this is naturally happening in the human, bl- DNA line, bloodline,
Mhm.
and that is ultimately what the future is. So, I mean, we've talked about this before, but I ultimately don't really even get the I mean, I kind of do, but I don't get the humans, if you will, real grief is that this is what we are going to be as a species. So we might as well work together now, and slowly things will change. But the only thing that the humans can't do is have powers. That doesn't change your worth. I don't know. It's just a really weird. Because I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been thinking about
Mhm.
um especially being in a field job now, meeting all these different types of people,
Mhm.
and I try my best to, shy away from those difficult conversations, but sometimes people say things or do things, or I just can't let go, or people shouldn't let go, or it's one of those times where somebody should probably step up and say something, and I'm always usually that person.
Right.
But I want to find a better way to kind of like reach people's humanity, because I don't even from a media literacy point of view, like I don't get it, and then like from a human point of view, like I don't get it. So I'm trying to figure out a way to, I guess, it sympathize, because I won't empathize, but sympathize with their fear in a way, or find a way to relate to the fear, to like, maybe that's not something that you should be so afraid of. But I say all that to say, um, again, like that's what the energy Captain America was giving off. He was giving off, yeah, we know what the right thing is, but we can't really, yeah. Like, what do you mean? You basically is a mutant your damn self. You're a Gen V mutant. You're a Gen V.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you are us, whether you were in a bottle or you mutated this way. You are a part of us. I mean, the only ones that you can say aren't are like Tony and
Yeah.
I can't think of nobody who else is
Yeah.
not actually powered in some real way. So what are the Avengers even talking about? So I think that I don't know much about it. That's actually a story arc that I wanted to get into soon, but I don't
Hmm.
know much about X-Men versus Avengers. And to me, I think that especially since Bastion was brought out early,
Hmm.
and we already know that there's a season 2, most likely going to be a season 3, but probably under another showrunner.
Yeah.
That probably is the spark. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you remember in season 1, episode 7 or whatever, when Rogue and threw Captain America's shield? Well, he was butthurt about that, and no,
Mm.
that's not what happens. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So I can see the seeds of that because later on when Rogue, you know, kills Trask, or tries to kill Trask, um, that look in her eyes and the non-reaction of Scott Summers is probably telling you, and then his own story arc too. But I
Yeah.
think it's all leading down a road where I think that we are we're going to question whether or not the mutants. I think they're going to go there and have us question whether or not our heroes we grew up with, are they doing the moral thing? Because they're gonna be doing some not moral things here, I think, in the episodes ahead.
Yeah.
And then when you're thinking about Bastion and who Bastion is and how he rolls and how he's trying to manipulate everything, like things are gonna kind of have to get there. And the scene with Beast and oh girl kind of highlighted that because Beast
Yeah.
is even cracking. And I wouldn't even call it cracking. It's justifiably correct. Like, why do we have to sit here and beg for your tolerance just for you to, shoot us while we're not looking,
Yeah.
kick us in the back? Like, bro, we can end you right now. I can turn around and destroy every single one of you right now, but we haven't. So what's up? What's the deal? Um, and that ultimately is, you know, media literacy time now, guys. That ultimately is a big theme within the story. The allegory that we're using is mutants versus humans, but this story can be used in a whole bunch of different ways. And again, we've talked about this last time. There, even if you are the majority demographic who is in a decent socioeconomic class that hasn't had to deal with any major things in life or whatever, there's still some things that you are or can be discriminated against too, that you can feel like the world is against you. So what do you do when the world truly is against you? Well, one, first and foremost, we gotta note that the people that ultimately started this fight are the bad ones. And that's the thing. Because what's going to happen is the X-Men are going to, or some of the X-Men are going to go the Deadpool route. And we're
Hmm.
gonna be like, oh, why are we ruining my? That's I guarantee you. It's what the media is, what social media is gonna be about. Oh, why is Rogue a villain now? And why did
Yeah.
Magneto change? Okay, all right, yeah. Let me steal your child right now and tell me how you behave. Are you gonna do things lawfully? Are you gonna do things by the book? Are you gonna do things the right way? And why are you behaving in this manner? Oh, did I do something that was so devastating and unnecessary that it's making you feel this way? Well, maybe we should discuss why I probably shouldn't have stole your child and start there. Why did I say, you know what I mean? Like those type of conversations. But with things being muddied and social media allowing the loudest, most wrong, most misinformed to have and control the conversation, it's tough. And you even see that in the mutant world. So, I got all that from because it carried on, it lingered. You when you asked the question before I saw it, I from coming from you, I'm thinking that there's a bigger reason why you asked the question, right?
Hmm.
And even though that was a short scene, everything afterwards kind of was highlighting Captain America's attitude. Whether it was well, Ross was right before them, but whether it was Ross, whether it was a reporter, whether it was Sunspot, whether it was Sunspot's mom,
Hmm.
whether it's everybody's always worried about what things look like to these shitty people. I don't give a fuck what a piece of shit thinks. And I don't think we
Right.
should, like, it's the same thing when we use, Nazi nomenclature. Why? Why are we using their train of thought to base our understanding of the world? Why? That makes no sense to me. In any way, shape, or form. Well, why when we know, crime and murder and violence and whatever is bad, why do we sit here just say, oh well, I guess we gotta ban TikTok with our appropriations bill where we're giving tens of millions of dollars to this war and tens of millions of dollars to this genocide and tens of millions of dollars, but let me be 15 minutes late to work. Let me take some bread because I need to feed my family. Let me, you know, I don't know. Whatever people, small things people get canceled for. That's the part that I don't understand. So when people get to the point where, superpowered people get to the point where they feel like we gonna scorch earth like Homelander style.
Right.
The
I think.
question that we have to, the theme that I foresee is, at what lengths do we hold those who need to be held accountable, and at what line is appropriate retaliation allowed, and what does that look like? And I think if people had these actual kind of conversations more on common ground, we probably can get a lot more done, whether that be in media, whether that be in figuring out story arcs, and then they usually do in story arcs as they progress. But these
Yeah.
these are questions that we can ask ourselves, and I hope that X-Men maybe doesn't go that far, because that's what I foresee, like based off of what I'm reading. But hopefully X-Men kind of answers some of those questions in a way that can be told in
Yeah.
a animated medium.
Well, and so the ironic part slash sad part about this particular story is the humans in the Marvel universe, in the comic book universe. They basically choose, and you see this a little bit with Bastion. They choose to assimilate more with machines before assimilate with mutants. And
Right.
then, of course, when they do that, the machines then decide, oh well, what the fuck do I need humans for? They're no better than the mutants, and
Right.
there have you. So that's unfortunately the dark circle that the X-Men universe kind of faces. Is exactly that. Instead of them just working with the mutants, they'd rather go this whole other way, and it ultimately proves destructive in the end for
Which then
themselves.
right destroys themselves too. And
So,
I because this is kind of like a major point of Dune as well. The war against the machines and stuff like that.
mhm,
Um, and in that world, their convenience and what's the word I'm looking for? The machines giving them luxury, convenience, and complacency. There we go.
mhm,
Um, is what led to theirs. In this one, obviously, it's fear of the evolution, if you will, and it's it's sad because, again, to make things make sense in a thematic way or whatnot, even though in this day and age, or in the past, forget this day and age, we can use other times in the past where this kind of thinking ends up being the same way. It may not be assimilation with machines in a cable,
mhm,
Bastion, you know, uh, 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 Nimrod type sense, but it's I'm willing to make weapons of mass destruction, atomic bombs, nuclear bombs, smart missiles, clean missiles, dirty missiles, strategical missiles, the
drones.
different types of guns, the ammunition, like that. That type of technology kind of is the same, and ultimately those tools, right? Those machines are made to destroy and can be used against you too. So ultimately, it's one of those things where if we could sit down with a person that we may disagree with, but can have X-Men as a common ground, and Professor Xavier as the moral, I wouldn't say antithesis that we would want to reach, but the moral baseline that we would want to see in a perfect world. Why do we allow it? You know what I'm saying? It quickly shows like why do we allow even in our own world some bullshit to happen that we know ain't true, and then we go, oh, that's life. Okay, well, for your favorite for Wolverine gets his head cut off by Bastion or something like that. Well, that's just life, isn't it? Or you're gonna be mad that your favorite character died because the humans in that world were so retarded that I'm not,
Right.
bad wording, but so ridiculous, I should say, that they um created this myopic world. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Horrible
I
shit.
don't know, but I don't want to live in a myopic world. So I don't know why we can't learn from fiction and see it in fiction while also allowing it to happen in real life. That's the part that drives me crazy.
It's a little bit of the ostrich with the head in the ground type shit.
You know?
But yeah, but we got we got our coliseums. They give us bread, social media. So yeah, a lot of deep shit there, and the X Men does
But it was,
bring
I
it to
mean,
the forefront.
even though it was kind of like a like chill out breather episode, it really wasn't. I really got this point of view and more from watching the episode. If I was a mutant and my country got destroyed for literally no reason, and I've never harmed anyone, I don't plan on harming anyone. I try to be a good citizen, all that kind of. How would you feel
Yeah,
when Emma Frost came out of the rubble, which I think is going to lead to some pretty big too. But when Emma Frost came out of the rubble and Scott was just crying, like I know I didn't cry or anything, but like I felt that. Um, I don't know. I just and the episode beforehand where he was talking about um or when they were doing like the interview and he was talking about how he feels,
hmm
as a mutant, and how the doctor didn't want to uh uh
deliver
help,
the baby.
bring his baby in and all that kind of stuff like that. And like, yeah, I can feel that. So if my country got destroyed and I have the ability to do something about it, what am I going to do? And the fact that we haven't, like, we're here trying to give middle ground. We're not seeing that on the other side. We see everybody have this regret. We see, Trask basically become a sentinel, or is a sentinel now. Bastion is out and about running around, murking stuff, being weird to Magneto. Like there's all these things
Yeah,
are going on right now,
very
and
weird.
you're worried about what exactly? I've never in this show from the 90s, even now, and in most of the media where the humans are scared of the future, or some sort of change. I don't ever get it. I don't get it. But that's the point. The point of it is to show how one nearsighted we can be as a society, or a dominant group, or whatever major class or culture or whatever it is. You can see it shows how one-sided and blinded that we can be by that. And I don't know, I wish that we can use the media to um use the fiction to discuss nonfiction. But that's what we're here for, me and you. So
Right on.
I enjoyed it. It was like it's a really deep episode, and
Yeah,
I don't know. It I hope it hits home for a lot more people too, instead of just being a episode after
yeah,
Gambit died.
right. Would be nice. You mentioned Bastion, though. Kind of being weird toward Magneto, and I absolutely agree. I also want to ask you something because I watched the Bad Batch before this, and then I watched this, and I meant to research. Bastion sounds just like Hemlock from Bad Batch. At least his delivery, is,
So I'm
I'm
about to
going
look it
to
up right now,
shave,
but
going to shave you,
um,
Magneto.
yeah. So I was thinking about his voice too, and to me, it sounds like Nathan Fillion, but I know I'm wrong. Um,
Playing
let's
that
see.
weird music.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, that was Bastion is, so I'm familiar with Bastion, but Bastion is kind of new to me. and so my first like animated run-in with him on this level, because he was around in the first one. No, he wasn't.
Nimrod and Master Mold, but not
It
Bastion,
was
which
Nimrod. So
basically,
where did I see Bastion at before?
he was
Maybe
actually
it
one
was.
of the episodes in this one. He was like on episode 2 or some shit. Like, just real quick though. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, just for those of you who don't know, Bastion is basically the end result of Master Mold and Nimrod merging, and then you
right.
have Bastion, who then has made these Prime Sentinels, which he uses nanotechnology to make unwilling or people that don't even know into Prime Sentinels, like he did in this episode with Trask.
Oh. All right. So that is who Bastion is. And he is conceptually, like, because I'm familiar with who he is and how he was made and all that kind of stuff like that. I'm not familiar with his where the storyline goes or whatever. So to me, I'm freaked out a little bit about dude, because um they couldn't even handle Trask. So how are they supposed to handle this dude and Sinister working together? It's kind of freaky. But Theo James is the voice of Bastion, and Jimmy Simpson is the voice of
Okay,
Hemlock.
so they're not the same.
So
They
close.
sound the same to me, but
Yeah, they do sound close, but they are different
yeah,
guys. I thought it was Nathan Fillion, to be honest with you. He had
right
that kind
on.
of had that kind of
Uh,
Nathan Drake.
but yeah, you said that the X-Men really couldn't even handle Trask is a Prime Sentinel until of course Cable comes along
Yeah.
and uses like an EMP grenade. So I mean, they at least learn a little bit on how to stop this. But yeah, interesting. Because yeah, we reveal that Bastion and Sinister are working together, and there's somebody above that who I think is Apocalypse. I don't know
Right.
for sure, but I definitely think it's Apocalypse.
Pretty sure.
And yeah, the next 3 episodes. What is it again? Tolerance is Extinction, Part 1, 2, and 3. So some heavy stuff's obviously going to go down. And this was a pretty good setup for it. But yeah, even with the EMP grenades and Cable, which interestingly enough, Scott Summers now knows Cable is his son. Obviously they've interacted in the show before in the original run, but it was never discussed that he was Nathan Summers. But now that Jean Grey was able to read his mind and gather all that, boom, we've got Cable, Scott Summers. Scott Summers knows that it's his son. Um, Also interesting, Nightcrawler called Rogue's sister, which technically he is, as he is the offspring of Mystique and Azazel. Although they may have retconned that a little bit, but it's still Mystique either way. And Rogue was an adopted daughter of Mystique, so they are actually brother and sister there. Um, That's really about it. I mean, other than that, I mean, obviously we're going to have to look out for this OZT, which is going to stand for Operation Zero Tolerance. That's Bastion's whole thing in the comics, so we're implementing that. Almost thought maybe they were going to go the Orchis route, so that could still be the case, but for now it's the OZT. So yeah, there you go. So I loved it. There's a lot of cool stuff packed in there. And I think we got a great setup for the last 3 episodes. It's not even finale. We got three. We still have three, the penultimate, and all that to go. All right, Jay. Well, last last episode you had said, hey, try this Fallout series. So, watch it for 2 episodes. Go from there. And I did. I did just that. I watched the first episode, and then my wife came home, and she kind of caught like the last actually quarter of the first episode, and then Most of the second episode, I had to skip. I had to skip by some parts there. Just okay.
So are you talking about the part where I call him Ben from Lost, but you talking about where the doctor was experimenting on the dogs? Are you
Yes,
that far?
yes,
Okay. All right.
yes.
Yeah.
My
I get what
white
you I
person
get what you mean. That
gene
was
with dogs. It was
but
just
dog
rough.
meat ends up being
Yeah, I know. It's throwing
dog
the
meat
puppies
cool.
into
Dog
the.
meat's the homie.
I know, but throwing the puppies into the furnace, like that's just. I'm a dog lover. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's definitely some high evolutionary type shit. Guardians of the Galaxy 4. Or is it
Um,
3? 3.
yeah, yeah,
Where did I go
3.
4? That was Thor 4.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah,
That's Guardians of the Galaxy 4.
and that don't ever
Mm,
happen without because James Gunn's now running the DC. So
yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned. Um, but I do like it. I like it a lot. I mean, I don't really like bleak worlds. But with that said, I watch Game of Thrones, and that's a shitty bleak world. So I'm not above it per se. And my wife did get interested, so I actually I said, okay, well, I got to rewind because you don't know about the people of the vault. Like, there's this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she saw the ghoul. And I'm like, okay, well, this dude you should see. He's actually like
Mhm,
200 something years old at this point,
mhm.
which is the favorite character, the ghoul.
Yeah, he definitely is the best character.
Um, seemed like a nice enough guy, before the war, and yeah,
Yeah,
people
you're
just
you're
fucking with
gonna
him.
you're you're gonna get there. And so getting through the show, so lore wise and how I definitely understand how it was written and like what they were trying to well, at least for the show. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's like in the Fallout lore for the games, but for the show, what you'll see, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but
It's okay.
clearly
Believe me.
clearly if you see episode 2, then you know that um what's his name? The cowboy. What's his name? Cooper is married to the Vault Tech employee. You got that part, right?
Right.
You- Okay. So the more you find out about Vault Tech, the more you realize that it's a it's a 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s style corporation. But like when you think of a 40, 50, 60 style corporation, you don't think of women having executive uh positions. You don't think of a black woman with a high, position,
Right.
important in position. She's needed, she's sought after, she's respected, she's valued, all this kind of stuff like that, right? So as you get on later and you find out, about some stuff, what the world it's a scary it's like a scary alternate universe that I thought of when I was young one time.
Mm.
And I was thinking, what would the world be like if the current social order or whatever allowed all of us a piece of the pie? And when I do that thought experiment, it seems like it'd be like, oh, happy Donkey Dory and da 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 da. And maybe that would be in like communities, or maybe that would be at church, or maybe that would be in our, schools instead of how kind of divided and stuff they are now, right? It'd probably be a little bit more together. But in this world, America, actually the government is inept and basically lets corporations take over. So now we got corporations running things. And even if it wasn't corporations running things, I think that, say for instance, we wanted to preemptively strike a country. Well, all you got to do is do a little rah rah hee hee, and you're not going to get too much pushback. I'm not going to push back because I have a picket fence and a decent salary and can pay my bills and take care of my family. And, the government's good and the police are my buddies and, USA, USA, USA. So, hey, this country, has terrorism. Well, we need to stomp that out because we're the USA. And we would all buy into that. And we probably would let our government and or corporations via our government do whatever they want because we're cool. So in a way, it kind of makes me be like, oh, I'm kind of glad there's racism in the world sometimes because like it makes us look at things a different way. But then at the same time, I don't want that. I actually want the world to come together and be a better place. But this is kind of one of those alternate because it is a story based off of a 90s video game, a 90s role playing game at that.
Hmm.
So the stories are kind of, out there and all over the place. But it is an alternate universe that like I could see based off of having Unity. I don't think that that's what actually happened if we had Unity, but it's a possibility that I thought of one time as a kid. So when I kind of saw it play out in the flashbacks of Fallout, I was like, "Oh, damn, like I thought about this before." It's crazy to see it like in a game lore,
Yeah.
type of thing, but the further you get into it, you learn a lot about actually, what happened in the past um, uh, uh, and obviously, uh, Cooper's the ghoul from that time period, so, what you been doing for 200 years, my G? That's what I wanna know. They don't get into that, so they probably will next season since it seems like it'll be New Vegas, themed, um, or New Vegas in the future themed. Because so do you know where this time period is for the
Mm-mm.
games? Are you into the games or
No,
anything? You
not
know
at
about the
all.
lore of the
Nope.
games? You know anything about the games?
Nope. I know, and I don't know if this game lore or whatever, but I guess I do know who's responsible for like the nuclear explosions, or I do
So
know.
from what I know, I'm familiar with the lore because I tried to get into Fallout 3
Hmm.
many, many times. So I'm familiar with like the the basis of it. I never beat any of them, but since I've been watching a lot of lore videos, like I kind of get the story from at least the first couple games.
Yeah.
Um, but um, that isn't completely confirmed in the game series.
Right. I agree.
It
Yeah.
seems to be confirmed in the show, but I don't think that it's as definitive. Like I think the way
Yeah.
it's shot is to be a plot twist.
Right on.
Maybe a plot twist that's still gonna lead to the same conclusion, but I
Hmm.
think there's a plot twist in it. But yes, so from what we kind of know so far, if I think I know what you've seen. Yeah, we kind of get an idea but that's again like I was talking about with the corporatocracy. Like what? We have a product that we're selling. We're selling these vaults. How am I gonna get people to buy the vaults if they have nothing to be afraid
Right.
of? I got an idea.
Yep. Oh man.
Oh, do you now? Hmm. All right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna keep watching it, and we'll keep digging into it because there's a lot of questions, and we'll see which one get answered. Like I'm really, and I don't think they're gonna go back to it because I think it's ultimately inconsequential. But like, how did those raiders get in, take over that one vault, then set up that exchange so they could like it's all very wow.
So all I'm gonna say on that one is Moldova or whatever is important. So what happened in that other vault isn't inconsequential at all. It's actually very important. So um that's all I'm gonna say on that one. Just let that be something that motivates you to dig into the
Mm-hmm.
story. Motivates you to the next episode because it takes a minute before it kind of explains that part. But yeah, just let the episode by episode questions that get begged to be asked, let that fuel you. because they do a pretty good job of bringing it all together for the first season. For stuff that's in the first season, they
Right.
open up new things near the end, clearly, but they tie up their loose ends pretty tightly. So look out for it.
Okay. Right on. All right. Well, we had discussed, pre-show here that you had watched, Shogun, and actually the final episode of that was just yesterday, as we're recording this on a Wednesday. Um, so yeah, that was, it was being called like, Game of Thrones, like, the samurai Game of Thrones.
Right.
Um, Again, something that even, my wife enjoyed. Is kind of intricate of a plot it had, um, introducing a lot of intricacies of Japanese culture back then, and so ultimately I thought it was a good show. But again, it did end, and we'll talk about the ending a little bit. But with you watching it, what was your kind of impressions of the show in general?
Um, I I'm kind of, I wouldn't say enamored because it's kind of off-putting to me, to be honest with you, in like a historical bird's eye view type of way. But ancient Japanese culture is very scary, and it's scary in like a intriguing, um, you know, inquisitive, like I want to know more type of way. Like, how did y'all get this way, type of
Yeah.
deal. Um, but I remember because I like this. I actually need to start listening to him again. It's been a minute. But this history guy, his name's Dan Carlin. I think I've talked to you about this before, but hardcore history with Dan Carlin. He has this one series um, where he's talking about Japanese um, Japanese culture, but like Japanese the transition from their shogunate to where they are modern day and getting into World War II and the civil wars they were having in Asia with China and Korea and all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. And yeah, it's a very interesting culture um, to not only read about, to not only like uh, try to look at from like a academic point of view, but to see it now in this way. So I've seen it. We've seen it before in anime. We've seen it before in Japanese movies and things such
Hmm.
as that. So I'm not trying to say that any of those depictions don't do any justice. They do, but this relatively new version of it is I mean, I think it's pretty cool from a historical point of view. I would not want to live in that culture. I wouldn't make it at all.
Well, no,
Like,
well, and most of us wouldn't, because one thing that you have to realize about the samurai, that's the 1%. Those are all fucking
right,
Japan's rich fuckers running around controlling every. Okay, we got the armor, we got the swords, we got the
right.
castles,
You got
you
the
know,
brutality.
right? Um,
Like, God, you
but
killing everybody?
but
Like, damn.
even with that brutality, though, even with that brutality, though, what struck me is those motherfuckers were polite right up to the millisecond before they. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I
But
misunderstood. I thought you were loyal to.
you're right.
I was like,
Will you
whoa,
be my second? Oh, I'll be your second. All right.
yeah, and
Let me
and
write a
so
poem for you first and tell you
right,
how wonderful your family line is. And that's but
yeah,
obviously we're looking at it from our modern
right,
sensitivities, you know what I mean?
right.
And probably growing up in that culture it'd be a little bit different, but listen, I being a weeb, I really appreciate Japan for a lot of reasons. I can understand their internal cultural struggles, especially the ancient ones. Um and from you know sort of modern history, going back to 40s clearly, where how they've been able to recover from that, um, kind of change their society, but then in a way they're still kind of like really shitty about stuff. So it's just really interesting. Um, but as far as the show Shogun, like the specifics internally, the white dude is the thing that threw me off the whole show. And it's not because like I'm, Mr. Woke and you don't want to see white men in media. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that like one personally, I can't stand white savior narratives, and this isn't really that because Toranaga basically pulling the strings this dude the whole time. So it's basically a Japanese savior show,
Sure. Yeah.
but
Right on.
he's annoying to me because um outside of the stuff that he was given to be strung along by Toranaga, the fact that you got the baddest chick in the show anyway, when you're a piece of shit the whole time up until probably the last 5 minutes of the last episode, realistically,
Right.
because it was up until that point, he always had his ulterior motive. He always was going to bring his country. I'm guessing he's
Yeah.
from England, right?
England.
He's
Yeah.
always going to bring that navy back to take over Japan. That's what he was there for. Period. And so yeah, sure, he was the Hatamoto, and he learns their culture and he learns to respect their culture, and then when he finally meets his crew, he was so disgusted by how they were behaving that he kind of wanted to stay in Japan. Like, cool, 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 cool. But you are a piece of shit the whole time.
Right.
And granted, the bullshit that's going on in Japan at the time between these regents is weird and has this bullshit too. It's just I'm just every scene he's in, I'm just like, why are you here, bro? I ain't like I need to see what's going on in Osaka. Okay, I need to know what's going on
Yeah.
with this crazy emperor's mama. Like, what is going on right now? But um, I think it was a great show. I think that one thing that I think a lot of people are going to lose sight on, or may not even be thinking about outside of, because Toranaga is clearly, so Toranaga is the protagonist, I think, clearly, because
Yeah.
he's going to end up being the Shogun and do what he doesn't want to do, but he's going to have to because
Doing
of the
all this
circumstances.
political maneuvering, like, yeah.
Right, right, right. And yes, characters that we became emotionally connected and drawn to had to sacrifice themselves, blah 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 blah. And if you didn't know that we're spoilers at this point, then I don't know what else to tell you. But uh
Yeah, no, we're a
um
spoiler show. Like, if you're
yeah,
here,
right.
you've seen it.
Uh
Like, yeah.
but the fact that he had to go that far when he didn't even do nothing. That's the whole point. Like, he didn't even do nothing. And granted, they have these customs, and you will commit
Seppuku.
seppuku if you disrespect me in a meeting, even though I don't want you to. And my son's doing some fuck shit, blowing people up with cannons. Like, bitch, what is you doing? Who told you to do that? Um, Even with all that, like, I'm just trying to live, and y'all scheming and maneuvering and power plays and again, looking at media, trying to figure out the theme that's being told. Like, power is stupid, bro. Like, power is really dumb, and how we think of power is really dumb. And I think that one thing that I hope to leave in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in my own form of media, whether it's a legacy that I'm able to leave for doing something big or something like that. But I want to challenge our generation right now, since we're literally on the cusp of controlling everything. But the younger generations below us to think of other ways to get shit accomplished We still doing shit from the 1600s, like the Shogun stuff. Like we looking at it because they're committing seppuku and cutting each other's heads off and doing all this. We doing that right now. We did it yesterday, so we're no different. We just do it in another way. We don't commit seppuku. We shoot you in the face with a 4.5. You know what I mean? Like it's all death and power wrangling and all this other stuff like that. But if we can come up with another way to do stuff, I would appreciate that. I'm pretty sure 99% of the people in the world would do that. And this show, um, outside of being beautiful, and I love the Japanese language and I love listening to it. I wish I could speak it. But this show to me is just like a warning of all that. There were so many different sides all at one time. You had the Portuguese priests, you had the Englishmen, you had the factions and going on in Japan, and you had Ushibigi or whatever how you say his name, going to one
Yeah.
side and the other side and the other side and the back side and the other side. Bro, chill
But being the
out.
most relatable character because he emotes and,
Right. Exactly. But so he was my favorite character as far as like the
the
acting.
only thing that made, well, yeah, the acting, absolutely. The only thing that bothered me from the character off rip was he like boiled that dude. I don't know. I was like, oh, this guy is fucked up.
Yeah.
Um, but beyond what you're saying, though, as far as power, that is kind of the genius of Toranaga is that on one side, I look and we say, why does his best friend have to commit seppuku? Why does Mariko have to sacrifice herself? Why do all these, key people that we're learning to like have to do this? And it's because he somehow figured out those people have to die, but a lot of other people don't. And my part of my disappointment with the show, and I'll admit, kind of makes me part of the wrong crowd here, is I was like, man, where's my big samurai battle? I mean, we got a little bit of
Right.
sword player here or there, but where's Crimson Sky? Where's this swift, you know, big battle that's gonna come? And it didn't, and it didn't. It never came because Toranaga was able to do these political sacrifices, basically, of the few in order to save the many and ultimately become a shogun without a big war. Um,
Well, I don't think I don't think he's at that point yet. So what I got out of the ending is I think they time skipped. They time jumped.
yeah.
I think that when everybody was all warred up, geared up, and sitting on the mountain, I forgot who even mentioned that in the first place. Somebody mentioned like what they saw.
Toranaga.
No,
Toranaga
Tornado
was, yeah.
was Tornado, which is what he saw. But I think what he saw is what is gonna happen, and that Ishido and all of them are gonna come into the battlefield to be the like the recon group, thinking that they're gonna have the Emperor's army behind them, but you
Hmm.
ain't getting no Emperor's army, and Tornaga going and all them is gonna take care and you're gonna get the samurai battle, next season. I think that this season was to show you what the stake to build the stakes, show kind of like the inner workings of what's going on. To
So,
me, highlight the culture and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? To make you kind of understand why things are maneuvering the way they are, and then getting to the where the ending was for the finale, and then next season, all those machinations manifested,
I
and the war is going to be not bloody, but not as bloody, and Toranaga losing like it would have been if he would have done what he did.
so here's the unfortunate part: is from all my information, there will not be a season two. This is based off a book, and it did the book. So that's what I'm saying. That's why it's kind of disappointing because everything you just set up would be completely badass. But we're not. This is. I will love to be wrong on this. I would love to have
So
misunderstood
I
everything I
didn't. So
read.
now I'm about to do lore on because I didn't. I was trying to save from doing that. I knew it was a book, but I was trying to save from doing that because I didn't want to kind of soil because I was already what 7, 8 episodes into it,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to spoil that. So I'm probably gonna look into it. But the battle's in the book, right?
I only from what I
Yeah, I'll
understand
find out. Well,
it covered the book, but I
we'll
can't.
talk
Yeah,
about. Well, I'm gonna find out, and then we'll talk about it next week.
this
But
is
if there's a
also a
battle in
book
the
that
book,
I'm gonna. Yeah, I want to
yeah,
check
I
it
kind
out
of
as
want it
well.
to be honest with you. I need to expand my library,
Yeah,
um,
me as well.
especially with fiction, because all I have is nonfiction. I read too many history books. But um, if there's a battle in the book, that's season 2.
Yeah,
That's what I think. But I don't know, so I gotta find out. But great show.
yep.
Um, what was I gonna say? Uh,
It just kills every character that you're like, okay, this is cool. This person. It is Game of Thrones just in that way.
it's Game of Thronesy. But that's what people with power do, man. They murder everybody, and it's stupid. I can't stand that shit. Like, what's gonna happen one day when like somebody has power and they're like, live? I don't know. I don't think people will be able to handle I don't think they want to. That's the other part about it. I don't think it's human nature, but I think it's just like some innate
That's a Matrix
human
theory.
desire to murder everyone. I don't know. It's so stupid to me.
Well, they in the
But
Matrix they tried to put him in a perfect world and it still didn't work.
right,
So
it don't work. But the thing that I was gonna say was, I appreciate the how poetic they are. As maybe that's just like the nobles or whatever, but um, I always enjoyed the idea of a haiku, and I always enjoyed finding the art in the way that you place words. And haikus were always fun whenever I had to do that, like in school or whatnot, because as long as you had your syllables right, um, you could say whatever you wanted and have it mean whatever you want. So when Mariko, uh, or when Lady, oh, I forgot her name, Oshiba, um, had her, start the poem or whatever,
yeah,
and she was talking about like a lifeless branch,
right.
and like
Leafless,
like when you
yeah.
a leafless branch, right, leafless branch. And I forgot the whole rest of the poem, but like when you like think about what the actual words were, it's like, damn, that's deep as hell.
Yeah.
Like when you like you can look it out on the surface, but like she was being poetic. So let's look at it poetically. Damn, that's deep. You know what I mean? And it don't got a rhyme. It's just, But then when you should I can't say his name. You should be gay or whatever.
Yeah.
His poem. I like his poem too. his poem his poem was great. When
Yeah,
I
they
die,
did.
just leave me in the field for the dogs.
Right
There's more
on.
to it than that, but that's basically what it was
Yeah.
about.
No, it was basically it. Don't um yeah, that is an interesting aspect that they stay true to with the samurai culture. Like, they weren't all about fighting. They really were like artsy fartsy, you know, they dug that shit.
Yeah, they'll kill you. They'll
But
kill you real
yeah,
fast.
if you break some sort of protocol, yeah. All right. All right. Well, I didn't want to like block the X-Men together, so I wanted to in the show format here, I wanted to separate it a little bit. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about the trailer that we just saw this week that was released, which was Deadpool and Wolverine. Um it's coming quick, coming in July. I really can't wait. But we saw some things in the trailer. Well, there's no but I just even more exciting is what we saw in the trailer, and we're really starting to get more of what the flavor will be. Obviously, we see Cassandra Nova. That's the bald chick that's like controlling Wolverine, and that's because she is Professor X's evil twin. I mean, I guess you have to say evil, but you know, basically the reason she exists is, like I said, she was Xavier's twin, but in the womb, like Xavier like killed her, basically, like absorbed her essence and went over, and but her a little bit of her essence kind of still lingered, and she was able to eventually like form a body, and then there we are. I don't know if that's the origin they're going to go with here, since this is obviously a multiversal movie. So I figured it would just be another multiverse thing, but just again in the comics, that's how this strange character comes about in a very strange way. But yeah, we see her. We see a bunch of old X-Men villains from the old X-Men movies coming out of Ant-Man's skull, which is actually from the comics. There's a storyline where yeah, like his giant dead body's just sitting in the desert. It's just a skeleton in a suit at this point. Um, but yeah, we see Cassandra Nova comes out of there, and we see again all those mutants: like Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, Pyro, a bunch of them there, Azazel. Um, so obviously, this is again some sort of multiverse wacky thing where the Fox universe is a thing. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I'm ready to just do X-Men in the MCU. But I don't really, this isn't going to be about bringing the X-Men into the MCU proper. I guess I'll call it 616, whatever. Um, this is definitely going to be outside that, although tied in with the TVA, as we all know. So there's going to be, I mean, it's going to be
Yeah, I
tied
think that's
in.
what's going to connect it ultimately. It's going to be either the end of the third act or a mid-credit scene where um someone's going to be like, "Oh, wait, we were looking for you."
They do jump into one of those portals, those Sorcerer Supreme teleporters there. So we do see Wolverine and Deadpool jump into one of those. Uh, but for me, the interesting thing for me, even though it's just a silly joke type, but Deadpool and Blind Al doing the coke thing, where she's like, "You want to do some
Oh yeah,
coke?"
that's hilarious.
and he's
Saying all the things that Kevin Feige wouldn't want them to say, but saying it
yeah,
anyway.
exactly. And that's why I wonder, because we've heard rumors that both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have kind of had to stand their ground as far as like the content of the movie and sticking to a certain way. So I just wonder if that was part of the tiff. Like, oh no, you can't do drug references and like, come on,
I
this is a
really
fucking
think
Deadpool movie.
that I really think that what that joke is a play on, like, I don't think that's actually true about Disney. I think Disney toes the line,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of e- even before, the Star Wars Marvel kind of buyouts or whatever, but even before, Disney's fucked up. Like, a lot of their shit is not family friendly right in your face.
Right
So
on.
this, like, oh, Disney won't let me, like, at this point I think they're just making fun of everyone, where it's just like ultimately the things that Disney wouldn't want in their movies, people don't want in their media in mass. So it's not so much that, like, oh, they don't want to do rated R movies, 'cause but like, fuck, you need a rated R movie for me to tell the story, and I want more people to watch the movie, so the
Right.
more palatable I can make it for all the audiences, including internationally. I'm gonna do that. I don't know. It's just one of those things, and starting to get me with sports too, where it's just like, can we get past these like stupid conspiracy theories and understand how like business works? Because that's how ultimately we're being tricked and manipulated. We don't know how anything works. And so what we get shown is stuff based off of our preconceived notions, which are wrong. So then the truth sounds ridiculous, but like it's how it works though. Like if
Right.
if I'm a movie studio, I want as many people as possible to see the movie. Now, if I'm a writer or producer or director that was able to convince a studio to do a rated R movie that only a certain amount of people are going to see, all right, sure. If they feel that their budget is going to be able to make some profit, and fine, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, I want a movie that everyone can go see. Like when Seth Rogen and them made Sausage Fest, they knew that they limited their targeted audience.
Right.
We're only going to expect so much. But if you have, I don't know, Spider fucking Man
Right.
You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
not gonna have him, getting deep throated by Mary Jane in the middle of Act 2 of your movie. It's just not necessary. You don't need anybody's head to blow up and blah 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 blah. Now Deadpool's a different type of property. Deadpool tells a
Right.
different type of story.
Deadpool,
Deadpool
Blade.
is
Yeah.
whatever. So, marketing wise, the fact that people believe that about Disney is the reason why technically it's a Fox property, but you know what I'm trying to say, like is the reason why they're able to even sell Deadpool even more to an audience that they normally wouldn't be able to because you think that oh Disney's doing it. They will always would. You just had to give them a good reason to. And this is one of them. So it's like playing in your face. And so, when the writers of Deadpool have had, well, one, the gratuitous violence, but the sex jokes and the drug jokes all up in their movies. Like my favorite one is the one I think it's in 2 where he gets the whole bag, which is probably like three
Right.
pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And puts it in under his mask and then punches himself in the face. Hilarious, bro. It's absolutely hilarious. Um, but that's only for kind of a specific. My mom would be like, "Oh, well, what do they need to do all that for?" You know what I'm saying? Well, this movie's not for you, mom. But if you are following the superhero thing, whatever, okay, it's all right to have some adult themes, especially because these people are doing adult things. But um, yeah, I don't. I think this is a how Deadpool performs is going to be a shift in Disney. I think Disney is going to start doing a lot more adult stuff. I mean, they have been. It's all Disney
Yeah.
Plus. Disney Plus is
I,
Disney would never do
I
anything. Okay, go
exactly.
look on
I
Disney
know
Plus right
people.
now,
Yep. I know people that like, oh, they'll never put Deadpool on Disney Plus, and it bloop, there it
bro.
is.
Both of them featured at the
Um,
top.
but yeah, even as Fox properties, you mentioned Deadpool and him doing things that your mom will really wouldn't appreciate in the movie. It's funny because it's because of that they put Colossus in the movie, and at first I was like, why? I mean, I'm glad, especially when I saw what he looked like. I'm like, oh my god, comic accurate
Right,
Colossus in a movie. Like, I don't know why he's in a Deadpool movie, but
right.
whatever, let's fucking go. And then you watch the first Deadpool movie and you get it. You're like, because Colossus is so fucking straight laced
Yeah.
that he pairs well with the fucking he's grounding this zany fucking character. And
Who
so
has a
yeah,
justification for all the ridiculous things that he does for the most part.
yeah.
Like it's a
So
loose justification, but a justification nonetheless.
yeah. So I love that aspect. So yeah, your mom just have to root for Colossus. Although you know what, I know he's going to be in Deadpool 3, but in my head canning in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, and he's going to be with Wolverine, and I don't think he's going to be in it much, and I definitely don't think he's
No,
going to
I
be
think they're just
interacting.
gonna be in the beginning part
Yeah,
where
exactly.
everybody's together. And um,
I'll get past it though, but it'll still
isn't
be.
old girl dead? Like every time I see her in the trailer, it makes me think that like I didn't see Deadpool 2. But isn't
Um.
she dead? Vanessa or whatever?
Well, okay, you may not have watched the end credits then, or at least don't remember, because yeah, he got Cable's time
I don't
thing.
remember.
Yeah, he got Cable's time
Oh
thing.
yeah. What am I fucking okay, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I
Well, hey,
forgot.
it was after credits, so
Yeah, I completely forgot.
hence why he's probably on the TVA's radar because he's got a
Correct.
fucking, you
That's
know,
absolutely 100% correct.
which is pretty cool actually. That's really
For all the people
awesome.
that say I think I know everything and I want to be right all the time, I was wrong and happily accepted
Yeah,
accountability.
oh, it happens all the time to myself. It happens absolutely,
Oh man.
absolutely. All right, man. Well, that's I'm good. That's a good place to stop her there. So another great week, exciting stuff. Um, Bad Batch, the whole series finale though is next week. So
I think that's gonna be an hour
or
long. Ain't
yeah,
no way they're gonna do no 23 minutes, bro.
yeah. I mean, it would be surprising because they're yeah. It just seems like they're just still
There's way too
setting
much that
up.
needs to happen that
Yeah,
it's not gonna be no 20,
yeah.
23 minutes.
But yeah, still 3 episodes of X-Men, and beyond that, I wanted to do some more lists. So, comment down on the bottom. Any other list? I'm thinking of things like and I would lean heavily on you here, John. But I think like the best. I don't know if we would want to do the best soundtrack, the best songs, or maybe pick the best songs from certain games. Because I think if we say, hey, what's the 10 best, songs from RPGs, like they're all going to be Final Fantasy, like,
I was about to say, well, there's some good songs out there, but no, not really.
so we might just have to go game by game. But anyway, any suggestions that you guys have down in the comments? Obviously, if you've made it this far, and I really need to, I don't know, I might need to put something in front of our show to just like do what everyone else does and beg for likes and subscribes and all that. But and I hate to do that, but as Jay has pointed out, it's the shitheads that get the exposure. The hate rhythm picks them up. So help us kind of penetrate that, guys. And again, comment, just say hi, like the video, tell your friends, subscribe, all that jazz. It'd be really appreciated. And again, let us penetrate that hate rhythm, and just inject some positivity, or let us call stuff out. And again, just urge everyone to just enjoy what we have, and to not be pricks about it ultimately. All right, well, until next time, we'll see you then.
See you later.